Yeah, friend of Brock. But Hawk blogger Brian Nemhauser joining us right now. Good morning, sir. How are you? On video, no less. If you're watching on YouTube Live or on the Seattle Sports app. Hi, buddy. How are we?
I'm doing well, and I got to admit something to you both. Speaking of YouTube, I got my YouTube Wrapped for the year and my recap. Seattle Sports, my number one channel over there on YouTube. So,
wow. How about that?
Not only a fan of the show, for sure.
I didn't realize YouTube did Wrapped like Spotify does.
They do.
So with Spotify, so my number one artist this year was Silver Sun Pickups, which was kind of weird, but okay. What? Silver Sun Pickups. I went to go see them this summer. They were great. But you get like a message from your favorite artist if they've recorded one, right? Like the bassist, I forget her name, she gave me a little message saying, hey, thanks for listening. And, we have a new album coming out, yada, yada. How does YouTube do that? Because we weren't asked to like record anything.
No, I don't think so. I've been getting a lot of people sending me their recaps, and it's a little it's humbling and a little shocking. Someone I think watched 627 of my videos this year.
Wow.
So I feel like I might need to hide my location.
I was going to say, they don't show location on that because I hope it wasn't Greenlight. I don't need to. I don't want to give away any more than I need to here. All right.
So I believe the two times that we have been together, Brian came on one time when I was out.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the last two times he's visited, when it's been the three of us, one of the occasions he said, well, I don't know about Geno Smith.
Right.
Keep a little eye on Geno Smith. And I think the next one he said, I think they really like Gray Zabel. I really like Gray Zabel. So you have been Nostra Hawk blogger a couple different times. What do you see in that old crystal ball over the final 4 weeks?
Well, that is very nice of you to say. I was more proud when I shocked you guys about Shedeur Sanders falling out of the first round. I thought you guys were going to fall out of your seat. But, I think the Seahawks are the best team in the NFL. That's what I think. I think they haven't necessarily had the opportunity. They have not actually proved that yet, and the Rams deserve that crown so far. But I think this is one of the best teams in Seahawks history. I think that people are very fixated on, for understandable reasons, a quarterback that has a very clear, specific challenge, and a right guard. Those are probably the two things. And the fact is, if you take a step back and you look at the rest of the NFC, do you think that the Eagles would trade their offense for the Seahawks offense? Because I do. If you look around pretty much across the entire NFC, would teams trade what they've got for what the Seahawks have? I think almost everybody other than the Rams would. So the Seahawks deserve to feel like they could win every game. I don't think there's a reason they have to lose the rest of this year and the rest of this season.
Yeah, there's no reason they have to. I mean, I agree with you that all 4 games are certainly winnable. I mean, they played San Francisco and LA, right down to the wire, and I think they're a better team now.
You think they're favored in all 4?
I don't think they're favored against LA, even at home. Do you?
I do.
Really?
I do. I think they're going to end up being favored in that game. I think part of the reason they might be favored in that game is this weather. The Rams did not play well in Carolina, and there's some concern and question about whether part of that reason is that pass game doesn't fly quite as high when it's got northwest rain coming down.
Oh, is it wet? Is it going to stay wet?
Let's not. We don't need to talk about that.
You know what, Brock? You know the answer to that.
That's really, really awful. It's really awful here at the moment. Oh, you mentioned right guard. How about just the whole interior offensive line? How does that shake out here now with Jalen Sundell back? And I know you've been the ultimate Anthony Bradford truther. You are a big believer in the big fella. So tell us how this shakes out.
Well, let me clarify that. There's this word in behavioral therapy called dialectical thinking, where two things can both be true that might seem like they're in conflict.
Okay.
I believe that Anthony Bradford's their best option at right guard this year. The coaching staff clearly believes that as well. And I believe right guard's probably one of your biggest, if not your biggest, offseason priorities. Both those things can be true. And the fact of the matter is there's a lot of low light reels out there about Anthony Bradford. And when he does poorly, it is as bad as you can look at the position. But if you really watch every single snap, this guy is not he's not the worst football player in the NFL. He's not the worst guard. Let me just tell you guys real quick, and I'll get to your question. Let me give you a list of some guards in the NFL that have more pressures allowed than Anthony Bradford. Chris Lindstrom, Will Fries, by the way, for a lot more money. Mekhi Becton, John Runyon, Landon Dickerson, Tyler Steen of the Eagles, Joel Bitonio, Matt Gonsalves, you'll see this weekend, Dominic Pooney, Wyatt Teller. All these guys have allowed more pressures than Anthony Bradford this year. And my guess is that what you're going to see is the Seahawks look at Jalen Sundell back at center. If this had been 2 weeks ago, I think they'd be more likely to look at him at guard. But I think they're going to look at putting Jalen Sundell back at center.
Do you know Bradford? Well, I mean, like, have you talked to him much? Do you get to, and the reason I ask is it strikes me that each time his job is held in front of him, he's gotten better. He had to compete this year in training camp, and he won the job. And when it was looking like Christian Haynes was going to come back from IR, his play got a little bit better. And when Jalen Sundell was about to come back from IR and was talked, my play's just a little bit better. And the rest of the time, it seems like it takes a dip. I was looking at some of the ups and downs of the charts you posted the other day, and I didn't like exactly line them up to those moments, but they sure felt like they were kind of along the same timeline.
I think you're on to something there. And the coaching staff, I think, clearly believes that motivation for him is a big deal in competition, because you go back to training camp, it was clear for weeks that he had won the right guard position. They didn't want to announce it. And I think the main reason they didn't want to announce it is because they wanted to make sure he was pushing and straining all the way to the finish line of training camp, of preseason. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that shows up. And Brock can tell you, when you've got these big boys, the 350-pound guys out there, it takes a little extra motivation to move that mass around at full speed every single snap. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of it. When I've talked to him, he also has talked about just gaining his confidence and feeling like, remembering what kind of player he is. And I wouldn't look. If there was TikTok and Instagram Reels back when J.R. Sweezy and James Carpenter were playing guard for the Seahawks, there would be a lot of the same conversations going on. There were a lot of quick losses for J.R. Sweezy. But for a guy like Anthony Bradford to have to see that constantly, I wouldn't be surprised if it leaks into his brain at times and just needs to kind of, gain confidence in other ways.
Your confidence in the quarterback down the stretch?
Well, I think that Sam Darnold is a guy that you cannot feel fully confident in until he does it against a team like the Rams. And honestly, once he does it in the playoffs, I think that's the reality. And I think that's what's keeping – it's this weird season. I don't know if you guys are feeling this too, where this is by any measure like a Super Bowl contending team, one of the two best teams in football.
Are they still, by the way, let me just cut you off there. I know a couple weeks ago I was looking at the DVOA of them as a team, and they were there with the 85 Bears. I mean, it was absurd, that level. Do they still find themselves here 13, 14 weeks in? Do they still find themselves? They do.
Pretty much every team above them in DVOA to this point for team strength has either won a Super Bowl or was in the Super Bowl, and most of them are like all-time teams, like the Cowboys in the 90s and the 2007 Patriots that went undefeated. So the reality is, as good as this team is, I think a lot of people are still kind of on the sidelines, not quite all in, because they're reticent about what it's going to look like to see him, Sam Darnold particularly, make decisions in the big moments. And I'll say this last thing on that is part of it's Sam, 100%. It's part of it's him, but part of it's on Clint Kubiak. The interception this weekend came on a 3rd and 1 play action pass. Run the football. Run the football. Don't put your quarterback in that situation. You've been running in short yardage. Well, don't put everything on his shoulders. Let the team run a couple of times. And if you have to punt, that's also better than some of the things that Sam's done.
It's also been weird that there have been so many blowouts. I mean, there have been somewhat, Brock and I were arguing whether it's 6 or 7 if you include the Pittsburgh game, whatever.
6, 7.
But even 2 of the other closer games were 8-point win. Like, he just hasn't had a lot of typical NFL games that come down to what does the quarterback do in the final couple minutes. They've only really had 4 of those. and they've lost 3 of them, which is, I think, the reason, at least for me, until I see it, I can't believe it. I don't have enough faith to just believe it's going to occur. There's some confidence, but actual faith that he's just, that's going to change against the Rams, against the Niners in the postseason, I got to see it first.
I get it. I get it. I also would challenge it because guess who also never had to deal with those kinds of situations? Brock Purdy in 2023. Like, that was the question about all the Kyle Shanahan teams. They're always ahead. They never have to come back. The record when they're trailing is terrible and all this stuff, right? How many Super Bowls did they get to? Now, they didn't win, but I think a lot of Seahawks fans would take NFC championships and get into Super Bowls. So we've seen a Jimmy Garoppolo make the Super Bowl. We've seen a Jared Goff make the Super Bowl in very similar offenses, and they had turnover problems as well. And the fact of the matter is, I think this defense is as good or better than any of those. And I think this offense, people seem to just set aside. It is the second highest scoring offense. They're only, I think, 7 points behind the top scoring offense in the whole league. They're going to probably set a franchise record for scoring this year. And yet we're focused on, okay, this one game. It's really this one game. He short-circuited and cost the team a victory. So is that going to happen again?
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite player on this defense?
On the defense?
Yeah.
He has journalistic integrity, Salk.
Like your favorite player to watch?
Salk, he's a journalist.
It is very close. I mean, I was just a huge Byron Murphy fan coming out, and I was a huge Nicky Manwari fan coming out. So those 2 guys are neck and neck for me because it's been great to watch them come in as 21-year-old guys and just show up like men right away. So I love watching those 2 guys play.
I think it's Drake Thomas for me because he's built like Salk.
Oh, yeah.
29-inch arms,
fantastic.
about 5'9".
He's fantastic, man.
And Salk, before he does his stuff,
What's the matter with you?
after Christmas, he's about 225.
What's the matter with you? Seriously, what's wrong with you?
Because seriously, if you put a uniform on,
I'm 5'10". How dare you continue to short me an inch? Years you've been doing this to me.
Okay, fine. Drake's 5'11". So if you put a football uniform on, the closest guy you would resemble would be 2. Jason Myers or Drake Thomas.
Right.
And it would depend on where you are in your eating and nutrition.
Do you see what I deal with? Do you see what I deal with on a daily basis? Thank you, Brian. Hawk blogger Brian Nemhauser. Somebody texted in, I love Hawk blogger, and I actually have traded tickets through HB Tickets, which is his site to make sure that Seahawks tickets stay with Seahawks fans. By the way, that's got to be going a whole lot better this year, isn't it?
Yeah, I would imagine.
I think so. Yeah, HB Tickets, HBTIX, Seahawks fans selling to other Seahawks fans. I take no fees. I just want to help protect what I think is a big part of the brand for the Seahawks and for the Northwest. Best home field advantage.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you, man. We appreciate you coming by, and on video, no less. So maybe you can watch this one again later on your favorite YouTube channel, Seattle Sports. You can do a little post-game analysis, film watching, and hope you grade out better than Bradford. You'll be good to go.
Thanks, man. I'm always watching my own videos all the time.
All day. All the time.